Designing Demand's a programme that aims to provide support for SMEs in the area of design. Many SMEs aren't familiar with how to access design services, how to use design effectively in the business, and how to work with designers. And Designing Demand is a programme that tries to address all three of those things. Probably about 3 steps that we'd follow in the process for engaging with the Designing Demand programme. Initially, we'd try and have an informal conversation with the business to try and understand what they're trying to do, what kind of business challenges they face, and from that we'd make an assessment of whether or not there was value in participating in the programme. So once the kind of yes has been given to the participation in the programme, we'd go through a number of phases. First phase would be to do some form of understanding of where the business was going, what they were trying to achieve, and how they were getting there. From that kind of soft analysis, we'd then look at opportunities to use design. That would be presented back by someone like myself, a design associate, who would be the design mentor for the company during the whole project. And from that range of different opportunities to use design, the company would identify which was their priority, and we'd then set up a design project to execute that design opportunity. How the design associate helps during that process is to write the design brief, an effective design brief that talks about the objectives of the design project, puts it in a language that a designer can understand, which the business themselves may be a little bit unfamiliar with, so there's a learning process there. But once the design brief's been created, we then go off and identify some designers who could work on that brief effectively. And the design associate, myself, if I was working on the project, would go out and find some local design studios or designers that we felt were appropriate to the design brief. The company then would interview the designers, they'd talk to them, understand whether or not they think they could work with them, understand how they would go about doing the design project, and from that conversation the company themselves would make a selection of which designer they would want to work with. Once that decision's been taken, we'll then formalise the proposal process by asking for costings to be provided to the company themselves, and from that, if they're happy with the costing, if they're happy with the approach of the designer, if they're happy with their kind of portfolio of work, their experience, then we can formally contract with the designer to undertake the work. All the time while that's happening, the design mentor will be sat on the client side of the table, making sure that everything's understood, everything works properly, best practice is followed. Following the formal commissioning of the design project, work will start, the creative work will start, and again, the design associate is there to sit on the client side of the table to make sure that things work properly and everything happens as it should. Projects are delivered on time, to the right quality, and to the budgets that have been stipulated. Overall, the company would get up to 5 days of the design associate's time to execute the project. At the end of the project, there's a kind of writing up of the project, and overall it's all geared to make sure that the client has a good experience of working with designers, because what we found that sometimes the client may have worked with designers in the past, but because they haven't followed a formal best practice process, things haven't always worked out fantastically. So our aim is to give a good experience. We work with many types of businesses of varying scales, from one-man bands through to larger, maybe 70, 80, 200 people sized businesses, and they run right across all sectors, so there's no sector specific kind of focus for this programme. I think the first port of call would be the Business Link Advisor. You could look on the Designing Demand website or look on the Design Council website as well, and although they wouldn't direct you specifically at the programme running in your region, they would help you find who to speak with, the programme manager in that region. But Business Link Advisor is probably the best port of call first.